When Orania this year, every time we had to set up because it's a completely foreign location. It's outside the first one. There's wind. Gashisa, there were flies. I think it took 2 hours to set up. 2 hours. I was so annoyed. But now again, hashtag black excellence. So then you have to kind of wait. Huh?
What did it look like though?
No, apparently it was great.
What
But
did
I
it
mean,
look like?
I wasn't fucking there for the visuals. I was there kuluma namapunu first. So,
Your favorites.
When you looked at
see, we're rolling.
when you looked at
You're rolling. You're rolling.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So,
Untanga just has to fill in for some kind of Nyana. Why is it
is he gonna come on set?
No, I don't know. Anything. What do you mean?
Okay, but we're rolling. By the way, this is all gonna be in the episode.
That's
I apologize.
Okay. That's okay.
But he hashtag black excellence.
Why is it black? It's just excellence. It's just excellence. It's not black. It's just excellence.
When you looked at the product, you're like, I don't know why we took 2 hours.
I was thinking about it
I
just
wish you
yesterday.
took 5 hours.
Sorry, quiet on set. Yes, sis. Thank you. So I think there's meant to be an expiry date on those things. You go through a revolution,
Yeah.
and then after the revolution, you come into power, and then you have administrators. At some point, women were oppressed, and they felt hard done, but they were
Sure.
like, but we're strong.
Yeah.
We're strong women. Siyimbokodo. Now in 2024, women don't want to be imbokodo. They're like, I'm an egg. So none and fully black excellence. He was like, no, it's not black excellence, it's excellence. And Saifun black excellence.
Because we need to succession plan. It's important. And we're in that period now.
It's time to retire black excellence?
Yeah.
Is it not too early?
It's not too early. It's not too early. We can't be common-minded based on our race only, no.
I think you're speaking from privilege.
Sure, and I acknowledge it.
The rest of black people are never mind excellence. They're just trying to get to black competence.
I get you. That's fair. But there is a level of I need to escape my incompetence that you have to be willing to put the work in
Sure.
to be able to get to just 1% more competent than you were yesterday.
Okay, so then black competence.
Yeah.
And then you aim for black excellence.
No, you're just aiming for competence. Because as much as situations are bad still for many people, that's the reality of many South Africans and Africans. But if we use that 1% parameter as well, they're a bit better than they were.
And I'm not hearing your argument, me. I'm saying black excellence for the majority of black people is still relevant because they need it. When are you speaking from privilege? In the same way, our Cyril No Patrice can't keep getting funding for being previously disadvantaged.
I get you. You're saying, I'm thinking GNU
you can
mentality.
say, oh, huh?
I'm thinking GNU mentality. Together.
GNU young Asuka. Sorry. But I'm just saying, I think you're speaking from privilege where you're like, no, like Kanye.
Okay.
Kanye's like, let's stop speaking about black history and speak about a black future.
Okay.
Why can't we do that? It's like, but you're Kanye and you're rich. For everyone else, they still need that reminder. There are kids that don't know what apartheid was. There are kids that don't know why people live in townships. There are black kids who grew up in the suburbs like, why do they live there?
Sure.
And you're like, actually, you don't know your history.
But that's on parents.
It's on parents.
Yeah. That's on your guys' parenting when you speak English to your children day in, day out.
That's a problem?
Big problem.
Yazi ukhuluma isiZulu?
Esiphelele nje esiqondile sikashoti ngalutho.
isiZulu so Khwezi FM siphethe uPenuel la noLungelo.
Lungelo and Lungelo.
Yeah, hey, Ubizo.
Yes, bro.
Bro, I'm honored to have you here.
Sure.
I officially on the platform need to apologize that this has taken 2 years
In
long.
the making, ne?
Yeah, and it's my fault.
Yeah.
It's fully my fault. When you were still fully based in Durban, you were like, when you're around, let's meet up. Benzenza umuntu ophizi, ophithizelayo.
Yeah.
And then you moved, and even then, I still don't really know what I'm doing. And as our platforms grow, I realize more and more people want pieces of us, and it becomes difficult to juggle.
Sure.
So you want to try and find time and make time. And you're a Christian.
I am.
So for you, this is God's time.
Absolutely season. I'm in season.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, it's just like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I didn't make time, but I'm glad we're here now. And I hope we can do this a lot more regularly.
Sure.
Are you happy?
I'm very happy, my brother. It did take a bit of a minute, but in the process, I was getting ready for the moment. Also, it's beautiful because I've known you since before I started my podcast. You were the very few guests that I had on my show, right? And
Engineer your life.
yeah, and for us to get to this point, you've had so many transitions between the different platforms you've been on, that you were anchoring, that you were co-hosting. Even this show has had many errors already.
It's still changing. I think you are going to be our third guest
Konvo show guest.
on the Konvo show. Yeah, officially.
Yeah. So it's beautiful because the set was a bit different, and to be here where it is, it's beautiful. It's a privilege. Thank you, man.
Shout out to the production team. This is not me. I'm just here to talk.
Sure.
I know I get kudos and I appreciate it, but I film with my phone. People don't know why you named your show Engineer Your Life. It sounds catchy and cool, like, ooh, engineer my life.
Yeah.
What was the intention behind that name?
I'm an engineer by profession.
People don't know that.
I like to keep it that way
Why?
and not be front running with it, because I want you to, because my content is quite intellectual and about building yourself, your inner being.
Okay.
I want you, when you listen to the content and how we direct our conversations, to not be influenced by saying, oh, he's educated anyway, so what else did we expect?
Sure.
I want you to dig deep. When you find that out, you're like, oh, wow, there's more to this person. I always love it in the comment section when people are like, where does he get this thing? Who does he think he is?
Yeah.
You know, it's beautiful because you know nothing about me, and that's how I like to keep it. But yeah, you're challenging me for people to know more about me. So here we go.
Wait, you prefer keeping your personal life private and only exposing what you want on the platform?
Absolutely.
Why? What inspired that? Why would you want to do that? Why would you not want people to know exactly who you are? And
so I live on YouTube, my platform primarily.
yeah,
But I'm not the conventional YouTuber. I'm not doing vlogs. If I wanted to go that route and share my life in bits and details and tell people what I'm eating, where, how, and hold a camera and say, this is the car I drive, none of that is known about me on the internet. And I prefer it that way because when I followed this calling, which I believe is a calling, we just nowadays expressing it in the form of podcasting. Yeah. The calling is to speak and to reach a significant number of people because I believe that there is something that God has placed in me that I can share with others, right? And when I got to that point where Engineer Your Life was born, Engineer Your Life, me being an engineer, your life. So I married my worlds subtly without people understanding what I mean. Yeah. And suddenly now, because there's a breaking point in the algorithm now that I'm becoming known, it's like, oh, that's what he meant for those who get to dig deeper and understand who I am.
You're still not telling me why you prefer to keep your life private. Are you scared?
No.
Recently, I watched Umsaki sitting with Relebogile Mabocha.
Sure.
She was accused of being a homewrecker at some point, Smash Africa.
Yeah.
She tried to clear that up now.
Sure.
It's a bit late, but one of the things is she was like, I don't understand why people are digging into things that I've never volunteered to them.
I think it's, once again, it's naivety where she's saying she doesn't understand.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Did you watch it?
I did.
Okay.
Whatever platform you're going into in the media space, where by virtue of your calling, the byproduct is that you'll become a celebrity. There's high chances that you've gone into this willingly. We're not stupid. We've watched people go into music, acting, especially those known things. Wait,
sorry.
Where you're like, you're probably going to be a celebrity by following this route.
Yeah.
And in being celebrity, there is celebrity culture in South Africa. We're a mini USA in so many ways, right?
100%.
So there is celebrity culture. But what she could have said, in my opinion, is that it came for me that they are wanting to dig about my private life. Yes, I'm going to keep it as private as possible. Yeah. But if my time comes, there's very few people like Denzel Washington where nobody will ever know what's going on in their lives. That's a very few minority. Yeah. The rest, people will dig, right? People will dig, and you need to be mentally, emotionally prepared that when the digging comes, do I have my corners where I go to find my peace, or do I fall apart and sue everyone?
You don't believe her?
She was naive. That's why she was naive.
So maybe you do believe her, but she
was naive. Yeah.
Are you scared of people knowing about your personal life?
No, I'm not scared. But it's none of their business. Does that make sense?
But you're expecting them at some point to dig.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What happens when they dig? Is there anything they'll find? Have you got some skeletons we can protect you with today?
If it's
To be like, look, guys, I once went to Diddy's party. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I'd have many houses and many cars. So no, there's nothing to hide.
Nothing.
Nah.
How's life in Durban?
How was life in Durban?
Durban is home for you.
Durban is home.
Where
Umlazi.
exactly?
Umlazi is home. Umlazi
When
is
we
home.
met up, you were in Pinetown.
Yes. That's my residence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still to this day.
Still to this day.
Okay.
Yes. So when I'm in Durban, I stay there.
Okay. Beautiful place, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me there. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. And so Durban is home. Raised by a single mom. Mom and dad were not together for the better part of my life. I think they got back together like a million times. Baby daddy. and
Tina.
and I witnessed that back and forth between them, which was interesting because I'm an only child. So it was like, okay, perhaps maybe that's why this bond doesn't end, because none of them have children outside of each other.
Both of them?
Yes.
They
both of
only
them.
have you?
Yes, they only have me.
Okay.
But the funny part is that my mother declined 3 marriage proposals from my dad.
And your dad was the problem?
Yes.
According to you?
I think so.
Your father proposed 3 times?
Yes.
Your mom said no, but he's the problem?
Yes.
Do you have a good relationship with your dad?
Now I do. Since
are you
past
comfortable
year
to
and a
speak
half.
about that?
Yeah. We can go in.
Why only now?
That inconsistency caused a rift between us, where if he's not with my mom, then he'd disappear. Like there has to be a separation. You're a father first before you're a lover to my mom. So you can't disappear on the basis of my mother doesn't love you anymore or you guys are fighting, right? And there was never a moment from what I remember where my mother said, you're not allowed to go to your dad's house, or where she said you can't call your dad, or where she barred me from seeing my dad. So that's how I know that it was on his end in those instances. And even further, we had a huge argument in 2016, 17, where I opened a business at his house, Elamont.
Elamont. Shout out to Babes with Women.
So my paternal side of the family, Elamont.
Okay.
I opened a business, a barbershop. I was still in varsity. So I was
at his house.
At his house. There was a yard. I saved up money and built like a small little hut and turned it into a barbershop. Well branded, did well. I think among my clients was Zex Bandwini. It did well. It actually did well for a year.
Come on.
Like people know about it. It was called Manvestment.
Manvestment.
Yeah. And it was purely about Lux barbering. Shout out to Shelton, because I was inspired by him. Legends barber.
Sheldon or Shelton.
Yeah.
Legends.
Yes, Legends. Because I was inspired by him to start that business. And then he allowed family politics, which is my cousins, to get in the way and cloud his judgment. And a cousin took over that property while I was in school writing exams, kicked out my staff, and told my staff that and he didn't protect me, so I cut him off then.
Your father?
Yeah.
Did you guys have a chat about that?
We had a chat a year and a half later.
You guys didn't fight. You didn't explain to him, but this is a business. I make money.
He didn't want to explain. When I asked, how did you let this happen?
Yeah.
He acted dumb at the time. And then I was like, oh, this person is not even fighting to kick this person out.
Sure.
We're a month in. I'm trying to fight for my business back.
Yeah.
All I'm hearing, though, from people around the streets is that, no, this guy has even ripped out the furniture and the fittings and was walking and I was livid. I was livid. And yeah.
So you built a ndumba for your uncle without knowing it.
Right?
A man cave from Manvestment.
Yeah.
Have you ever approached and confronted your mom and your dad on why your dad was inconsistent? Or is it based on assumption?
My mother then passed away without me getting a chance to approach her.
I'm sorry.
She passed away in 2015. So I think the height of my pain in 2018 when my dad and I argued was that I don't have another parent. We're supposed to be thicker than ever now.
Sure.
And here you are failing the basics of protecting me.
Sure.
I don't even ask you for anything. I'm on a bursary at school. I'm studying. I'm saving my own money. I don't ask you for jack. Just emotional, mental support. Be there. Be a guide. Be a father. Wahluleka. And that's how I felt at the time. And I think it was valid.
Have you guys fixed things since then?
Yes, we have.
Please ask him.
Yeah.
If you're interested.
Sure.
Please ask him why he was inconsistent. He might lie now and there isn't someone else to be like,
Yeah.
I'm only speaking from my perspective, and I'm biased.
Sure.
Unfortunately, I've struggled with access with some of my kids, and I try to imagine, but I can't. I try, but I can't. I don't know how my kids are processing what's going on. They obviously go to school, they see other kids, they probably hear their mom and whoever else is around talk, but I don't know what they're thinking. But my hope is that at some point when we reconnect, if they ask questions, I want to be as honest as possible, because there is this assumption that my mom used to say, my dad, you can see your dad anytime, it's him. But sometimes you find out that those are lies. And you just want to get that clarity just for your own peace. And then to ask, what efforts did you make? What happened? Because people are carrying trauma. And people are angry at their parents for things that they may not fully understand. And why I was like, I'm not sure, was your father first before a lover. I find a lot of people put the lover first. I find a lot of women, it's like, asajoli, asazwani, you've got a new woman, and you're like, but that's your child's father. Yeah. You're like, but that's got nothing to do with the child. So I find a lot of people don't put the child first. They actually put their own feelings and emotions first.
And I'm saying, as a 30-year-old man, reflecting back, is that if he did do that and put Indombi first or whoever first, then that's the fault that I'm saying my anger was valid. Because you are a father first, no matter what.
Hey, good luck, bro. You were smart in school when you speak about getting a bursary to study engineering.
I was.
School came easily.
It came with. I always look at myself as a 65% effort free. 89 to 90 something with effort. Right.
So if you just sit in class,
yes.
We are no 65.
Yeah, I was those type of people. With effort, and then you realize, with effort I can be a shining star. And this shining star thing buys me social capital. This shining star thing builds my inner confidence a bit, especially as a teenager. So let me push the boundaries and study hard. So I think in my schooling career, it's only like in grade 10 where I wasn't first in grade, and I was very annoyed. And I was very annoyed.
You're a proper nerd.
Proper nerd in the sense that nerd as in focused on the studies, but I didn't have the character of a nerd, and I think it still comes across now. I didn't have the personality of the nerd, the sloppiness of some nerds where you're not cool. You're just not cool.
Sloppiness.
Yes, nerds can be sloppy and they're not cool. Like
when you clean, you need.
Always been.
Always fresh.
Still.
Man vested.
Yes, man vested.
Man vested.
I'm saying
vested.
That was the tagline.
Hey. Yeah. You bring up something interesting that I've never thought of, and I think it would be a nice experiment for kids to know their natural abilities.
Yeah.
There are kids at school level, and I've got many issues with school, just in general. There are kids at school level that only ride on lento show of like effortless.
Yeah.
I get 70%. I just attend class. I show up the exam. We're no 7. And your parents, the school is like, if you applied yourself.
Yeah.
There are kids that apply themselves, but we're no 65. It would be nice to actually have experiments where you tell kids, I don't know how regularly, but we're going to need you to just ride on natural for now. We just want to see what to whoopee without effort. No homework. No one pushing you. We just want to see your natural ability, just sitting in class. And then from there, we can then tweak how much work you need. Because there are many assumptions made about kids. I think I was naming flex. I think without effort, my whole schooling career, I was probably a 75 to 80 without effort. And I'd have a lot of kids ask,
how do you do it?
Do you study? Do you have extra? Do you go for tutoring? I've never gone tutor. I've never done extra maths.
Same.
I've never. So I never understood. But then when you get into top 10 academics, I wasn't like you. I wasn't number 1, but I'd be in the top 10. A lot of those kids, they didn't play sports. They didn't do cultural things. They were just here for Ingwadi. And I'd get asked, how do you do it? Do you have extra? I'm like, I don't. Which later on, I realized I was a bad example. For other kids. I want to be like you and get high marks. I'm like, I'm not the guy. Because namangazi.
Because life requires effort.
Go ask the guy who asuka from 50 and now gets 80 how they did it.
I hear you.
Because I'm going to tell you, hey bro, I just listen in class. Angazi. But you're raising something interesting, and I think that's important. There's a lighty I've been working with now who's a natural athlete. And also when you speak to other kids and they're like, no, this guy gets a lot of training. You're like, the boy is just fast.
Yeah.
The boy is just fast. So don't ask him for
Genes
advice.
or whatever you can
whatever
attribute it to. Yeah.
What engineering do you do?
Electrical. Yeah.
Why? Are you still an electrical engineer now?
I am. I was on site yesterday. I'm still an electrical engineer. I've got nothing to do with ESCOM, by the way, when I say site.
Hey, but we don't have load shedding anymore.
Exactly. I still an electrical engineer. I studied electrical engineering because when I was in grade 7, I went for an open day. You know when you go for tours, open days in high schools, we did that when I was in grade 7. So we went to a school called George Campbell School of Technology.
I know George Campbell.
In the north of Durban.
Sure.
And that school is a technology school based with engineering as at the forefront. They put engineering at the forefront.
To this day.
Till this day.
George Campbell Technical, sure.
Yeah. So I went there, and I'm a young black child where we know about careers, but we don't really know what people do.
Yeah.
So I got exposed for the first time. This is sort of what an engineer does. And then I knew that when I was having conversations with my mom, that in the top 5 hierarchy of what is perceived as a high earning, high level, high influential, high powerful, whatever career, engineering was one of them.
100%.
And I'm like, which one do I pick? Because this whole doctor thing that everybody speaks of looks ew.
Yeah, a lot of blood, cuts, cutting people
it looks
open.
ew, right? I was like, I like this thing.
Yeah.
So I went back home the same day. I'm like, Mom, I want to go to George Campbell next year.
Yeah.
So then we applied. We went to George Campbell, and the rest is history. And then I did electrical technology in George Campbell for 5 years until I could do electrical engineering at UKZN.
How much easier was studying at UKZN because of the base in high school?
Absolutely important. So it's an unfair expectation for a 12, 13-year-old to know what they want to do.
Yeah.
But I'm privileged to did have an idea of what I wanted to do. So from 12, 13, my education was streamlined towards that direction. Because
By your choice?
By my
It's
choice.
fucking brilliant.
When I got to first year university, I think I got like the dean's commendation because it was so easy.
Ark.
You know, it was so not the rest of the years. First year was so easy because I had already done AutoCAD in high school from grade 10. I was drawing on the computer. I was doing electrical technology for 5 years. People walked into first year, they're like, what the hell is Ohm's law? And I've been doing it for 5 years and calculating it at high levels for matric exams and everything. So it's so important to be intentional in that sense. Parents, to identify what their children love and are good at, find that balance, and put them in schools that nurture that.
It's unfair. How would you advise parents to be able to give kids what you had? And what you had was also not good enough, in my opinion. You are lucky to go to an open day. You are lucky to be exposed to what engineering could be. You are lucky to go to a school that had that capability.
Sure.
You could have been exposed to so much more. But we appreciate that you got that. And I think you're enjoying it and you're good at it.
Yeah.
What advice would you give parents in terms of from primary school, expose your kids to as many decent careers as possible? I know it's difficult and it's unfair, but just to try. And then try and find them institutions that are streamlined to, it could be 3. You could have said, I'm going to George Campbell, I want to be an engineer, but I also know they're good at rugby, I want to play rugby, and maybe they have a good choir, I love singing. So I went to the school intentionally, instead of just, well, it's the closest school in the area. So when I must metric, how the marks or the results look.
Dangerous.
What advice would you give parents? I know it's unfair, but I'm actually inspired hearing your story because I'm reminded of the importance of Lungelo.
Disclaimer, I'm not a parent, but from my journey, I in that primary school season, as you're saying, as a parent, make sure your child is exposed to different careers, potential careers. Of course, you're the adult, so you're probably going to streamline for them what careers you'd like for them so that they continue the family legacy and the social class that you are in, because that's what we're actually trying to do as parents, and do better than what I did, right? So you'll streamline to those and then see which one of those best fits you. Then obviously financially, which one of these schools that fit any of these combination of things that you want for your child fits what you're trying to do, which is once again a point of privilege because maybe the school closest to you for the person who's watching or listening to this, kungasekhaya eMlazi, and there isn't even a soccer field or a rugby field.
I know there's non-profit organizations, but I guess they need to get louder in terms of attacking, especially primary schools. Grade 7 is a good start. Children will change. Track those kids again in grade 9 when they have to do subject choices. And then maybe track them again in matric to constantly be like, are you working towards? We wait too long for kids to start picking careers. And lots of kids end up doing marketing, public relations,
HR.
Logistics, HR, not because supply chain, because this is all they could get into, and now they act like I like logistics.
I was not in there.
I was not in logistics. That's a lot of work we need to do, and then we need to fix schools. Shout out to George Campbell. I want to give a shout out to schools like Western. I think it's Western Agricultural. I know there's Winterberg in the Eastern Cape. There's Freight. I don't know if it's still an agricultural school. There are schools that actually, by the time kids get to varsity, they already have like an amazing foundation.
Absolutely.
And we wait too long. I actually even feel like the money game has structured it so that kids can't compete until they're 25. Where if your father was a farmer, you start competing from small because you've already got cows and goats that are yours. You go to auctions. If you're an Indian child and your father or your mom has a retail store, if your mom has a law firm or an accounting practice, you're ready. But for every other kid, it's like you'll only know at 25 if you're eligible for a job. Where the other kid has been exposed to a working environment and the stresses for so long. And we need to try and close that gap.
And knowing if you're eligible doesn't mean you will be eligible for anything in this country, because you could easily fall in the 50% that isn't.
Damn. Or Dokotela was striking.
Yeah. Because we're buying masks that aren't the right masks in the health facilities instead of hiring doctors.
Are you aware of the different types of engineering that are out there? Would you include sound engineering in there, or by our forger? Moment of silence for the sound
mechanical engineering,
sound
computer engineering, structural engineering, civil engineering, marine engineering, aeronautical engineering. At the top of my head, those I can think of.
Can you quickly explain each of them?
I'll try.
Okay. But you're done.
Yeah.
I'll say, please go for it.
Electrical engineering, what I do, it's not about the lights and plugs that you see in a shopping mall or a place. That's like the end product.
Okay.
So it's the brains behind the switchgear, the relays, the protection relays, the calculations behind the big system that causes for that plug to eventually light up either in your house or for that factory to keep running 24 hours a day. So the motors that are involved. Switchgear is that thing there, when you're driving on the road and you see these municipal buildings that are locked. Inside the municipal building is switchgear, and it has big signs that say danger, electricity, khafar, or whatever. Ingozi, right? In there is switchgear. What switchgear does, it carries high or medium voltage electricity that gets transformed to electricity that is suitable for domesticated levels. So in there, it's where it's controlled that if there's a fault, if the cable fails, if the transformer fails, the switchgear can switch off and not burn the whole residential area. So that's the brains behind what we do as electrical engineers.
You guys study the whole process.
Yeah.
So let's say Eskom is still the main provider of electricity.
Yeah.
You guys study a substation.
Yeah.
You guys study substations. You guys study, I don't know if it's a meter box endlini. You guys study that whole process.
Yeah, we do.
And you guys can kind of manage that whole thing.
Correct.
So that by the time you light bulb, you say, I'm an electrical engineer. You're no. We did all the foundation for this. So
that's why when somebody's, stove is broken or something, a plug burst, don't call me. Please, I'm busy.
But you're an electrical engineer.
No.
No.
I probably don't even know how to do it.
You guys don't deal with that.
Yeah.
That's something else.
Yeah.
I've got a cousin, man, Usazi, Wagampense in Richards Bay. He's an electrical engineer. He works for, I think, an aluminium plant. We've just never spoken about his work, but we are Tandukanga. He's always fixing cars and messing around and
So those are the engineers who should have been technicians.
I think he's a technician.
Okay, see.
He does mostly maintenance. They call him for inking at the plant. I
Yeah.
just know he studied electrical engineering.
Yeah,
I think that's
because
what
the
I'm
course is
referencing.
called electrical engineering, but it varies as well in degrees. So, for
Okay.
example, if you go to a University of Technology, previously known as a technicon, you study to be a technician.
Okay.
So that's NQF level 6. And
Is that mostly maintenance?
Yes.
Okay.
And then if you stay in a technicon and want to further your studies to do NQF level 7, you do either an advanced diploma or a BTech.
Okay.
So it becomes a degree, but it's NQF 7. But the route I went to when you go to a traditional university, you study a Bachelor of Science in Engineering or a Bachelor of Engineering, and it's straight level 8. So in the 4 years, you straight go to level 8.
In NQF 8.
NQF 8,
Okay.
yes. So
NQF 6, basic.
diploma,
technician.
NQF
Diploma.
7, technologist. You've got a
The
degree.
BTech is Bachelor of Technology.
Bachelor of Technology,
Or an
yes.
advanced diploma.
Or an advanced
That's
diploma.
an NQF 7.
Yes.
The NQF is National Qualifying.
Yes, National Qualifying Framework, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when you go to university, or
Yes.
even from there, you could still upgrade, or you have to go to university
From NQF 7,
from NQF 7.
you still have to upgrade and go to
Can you
university.
upgrade that at a tech?
No,
You have to go to university.
you have to go to university.
And then there you get a Bachelor of Science in Engineering.
which is an honors degree,
That's
automatically
NQF
8.
8.
Yes.
Then you're involved in the building of the structures.
Correct.
More than just the maintenance of
So,
things.
so the only person who's allowed to call themselves an engineer is NQF 8. Everybody else is like.
Hey, now we attend ukushaba. soft blow.
Quick example, quick
I'm an
comparison.
electrical engineer. What NQF do you have? I'm a 6. Ngithe baba ulungelwa ngisho tekuse.
Ne?
You're a technician. Hlala phansi.
Quick example, quick comparison. You have to go to university and do your MCBHCB. I'm sorry if I'm getting it wrong. To be a medical doctor.
Oh, MBCHB.
MBCHB.
Yeah.
And that's NQF 8 as well. You have to do the 6 years complete. You can't study 4 years and do medical technology eMangosuthu or
Why did you
Eval
have to say?
University
Why did you have to say Mangosuthu? You could have
or
used
at
another.
Durban University of Technology or at TUT and say, I'm a doctor, right? So that honor must be consistent. Same with LLB. It's NQF level 8. The degree, the LLB degree.
Now you're counting all the top 5 you'll speak about. Number
Ne?
CA.
It's all
Nama-
all of those degrees immediately are NQF level 8.
Okay.
Law, engineering,
Accounting,
medicine. So that's why there's a hierarchy. And the people know. They know in the signatures because it always differentiates. You know, when we send each other emails between industries, when you have to put your degree there, you can call yourself what you want. But people will look at you, liar, you know?
Dr. Malinga with the NQF 6. No.
Yeah, we will look at you like that. And then obviously if you do a master's, it's NQF 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it get to 10?
10 is a doctorate, PhD.
That's an NQF 10.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Electrical engineering. The next one, I think the first one you said was mechanical.
Mechanical is, in factories, industry. Maybe you
So
use that
mechanical
word.
engineering, off the top of my head, is ukandi imoto.
No.
So that's like the stove example.
Yes, that's
You're
the
not a
stove
mechanical
example.
engineer because you can service cars.
You're a mechanic there.
Okay.
Yeah. You're a mechanical engineer because you understand pulleys, you understand motors, you understand traction moving machinery, you understand conveyors, you understand, you can do the calculations that make conveyors that if it touches this conveyor, it moves the next thing.
Sure.
It's able to interlock with the electronic system. It's able to talk to the electricity, that it's able to talk to the switchgear that I've created for you, mechanical engineer, and supply you power with. It's able to provide a certain torque so that if this machine is at a sugar factory and it's crushing the sugar cane, it crushes at a certain rate. And I can calculate that if it crushes at this rate, this is how much the business is going to get. That's what an engineer does.
Okay. Mechanical deals with the machines and
Moving
the
machinery
moving
at the
machinery
core.
and
Yeah.
Is this across the board or does it get specialized? So for example, Gautrain, is that another form or does that fall under mechanical?
I'd say it does fall under mechanical, but rail, specialization in rail.
And then among it's factories, machinery, conveyor belts.
Yeah.
ESCOM as an example, going back, electricity. The mechanical engineers coming to build the structures.
Correct. So
You guys don't build the structures.
Not
You
at
work
all.
with the...
They tell us what structures they've designed and how much power they need for the structures. And then we designed these complex switch gears that protect the structures from failure, that protects the structures from bombing, that make it run at suitable power factors so that it saves the electricity or it's efficient and all that. So that's how we work together.
So Eskom probably has a manzi as well.
Yes.
Would that fall under something else?
Civil specialization
Okay.
of water engineering.
Let's jump.
Yeah.
Civil engineering.
Yeah, with a specialization of water.
What is civil engineering?
Civil is buildings, roads, anything that's under the earth.
Anything that's under the earth.
In terms of what's underneath the soil to make the soil suitable for building on top of. They know how to make it suitable to build on top of.
You said buildings? You said roads?
Structures, yeah. Buildings and structures, yeah.
Highways?
Yes. Bridges.
Houses?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's civil engineering.
Structural, specifically. But obviously, a civil engineer needs to tell you if the house can be built on that land.
Sure.
And then he leaves. He's like, my port is done. You have to hire a structural engineer now.
Which is not a civil engineer.
It's grouped under civil,
Okay.
but it's a specialization. So, for example, I'm professionally registered with the Engineering Council of South Africa, PREng.
Yeah.
But when I got professionally registered, I had to prove to them that, for example, I'm good in industrial engineering under electrical. So I'm good with switchgear that's got to do with powering up sugar factories, pulp and paper, which is what I do as well,
Yeah.
and a few electrification. So I can't go now just because it's electrical engineering and say, I know the electronics of a car. I can't, and sign that off. I can't.
Yeah.
It's illegal because I didn't prove to the Engineering Council that that part of engineering is what I'm good at and I can sign off and I'm competent at.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. After civil, you mentioned aeronautical.
I can't speak much to that, but it's got to do with aeroplanes. Everything that aeroplanes, that's a special engineering that people.
Is it almost like a branch of mechanical?
You could say that, yeah. You could say
Uwaki
that.
moto and stuff also is a branch of mechanical.
It's a branch of mechanical, yeah. So it could be a branch of mechanical, yeah.
When you spoke about underground, I started thinking, because I've got mates in mining. When you said underground, I was like, isn't that mining engineering? But then you were like, no, for structures.
For structures, yeah. So preparing the ground for a structure, because mining is like kilometers underground.
Sure.
Yeah.
So mining engineering becomes another
one
segment.
Yeah.
Okay, I've had to see Anganga, who's tried to explain a part of that.
It looks so boring. Oh my gosh.
It looks boring.
So boring. Having to go
got
underground
money for days. He hates going underground, by the way. Usia.
Yeah.
So he made sure that the work that he does
Money is
doesn't need
relative
him to.
though.
In engineering.
Yeah.
Money, NQF.
No, it's not even about the NQF. It's relative because we've got slay queens being founders of construction companies and making more money than me. So
This is a real thing.
it's a real thing. Go watch reality TV shows.
There are slave queens and setting up construction companies.
Yes, and they're getting big work, government projects, private sector projects, because the system is flawed.
But that's not because they're engineers. It's because they own a business.
Yeah. it's
And
because
then maybe
own a
they hire
business.
people like
And then
you.
they hire people like me to
Exactly.
execute.
Okay. You also mentioned computer engineering.
Yeah. So that's got to do with software, light, very, very light current things that have to do with the systems, such as something called SCADA, which are the systems that talk to all this machinery and send signals so that you switch on at this time, you turn off,
It's mostly software you're speaking about.
Yeah.
Okay. Sound.
No.
Sound engineering.
Next question.
I'm trying to fight for the sound engineers. Do they not engineer the waves of the... You guys don't recognize sound engineers
At all.
under engineering?
No.
Would you prefer they change their name?
Perhaps
Sound technicians?
artisans. Technician is also NQF6.
artisan.
Yeah, they don't sound technicians go to college?
I don't know.
Yeah. People who
But you don't think that could be like a form of engineering? Like there's some type of structural putting things together, things communicating to each other. When Kanye, no Rick Rubin, and the sound, Nutira, say Afrotainment, we're structuring Elamonti, no babes, no stinky.
what does an electrician do?
An electrician
Comes into your house.
and maintains whatever electrical issues you may have.
No, an electrician is allowed to wire up your entire house.
Okay.
Right? Wire it up, make it neat, make sure the right cable goes to the right light, goes to the right plug, goes to the right sensor. If you want to have sensors and fancy curtains, if you want to have a photo cell outside, then make sure that if there's no one there, the electricity goes off, it senses darkness and everything.
Okay.
You'd say that's a form of engineering, but we don't call them engineers. I feel like that's the sound engineers as well. They're existing systems and existing technology that they put together.
So a sound engineer is like a nurse, yomculo, of sound.
Hey, nurses are NQF7, so no.
Hey, they not even know Nessie. Damn. Hey, I tried. Okay. There was a time in my life, I think I was watching Kanye
Sure.
being interviewed, and he was speaking about how it bought land. He was building church structures. He was going off grid and farming. And I realized that, we expose children, going back to school, we expose children to so many, I'll call them useless things.
Okay.
And I think every child at their core should be taught agriculture, farming, and engineering. That was the conclusion I came to after listening to that. I could add art, I could add sports and those things, but for a human being to function, agriculture for your food, so that you can eat, you can even be naked sleeping under a tree. So when people are going to be like, build a house, no. You can be naked under a tree, but at least you've got food because you know how to farm your sustenance.
Yeah.
Then the other thing was engineering, which at the time I got to understand as the building of things.
Okay.
Whatever that means.
Yeah.
And I was like, but we don't build. That's why we have to go to Pakistan to fix our phones. When the microwave is broken, we throw it away instead of trying to figure out what's wrong. I'm like, we don't have a basic desire to build or klanganisa or so I thought if we were to teach kids how to grow food, instead of like coloring in pictures and cutting up, learn how to grow food and then learn how to build things. Whatever that means. Then later on you can build on top of that.
So I partially agree with you. Too many institutions are teaching engineering. Let's get functional FET colleges. Cut the cameras. Let's stop teaching people how to be engineers. We can't all be calculating.
Your understanding of engineering is not mine. Is one of the things you're clearing up, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
For you and engineers, it's not what I'm saying.
Yes.
Okay.
We need more FET colleges. We need artisans. The person you're saying is an artisan. We need people who right now can rip apart this microphone.
Yeah.
And put it back together.
Yeah.
And find the fault and see, oh, that's the fault. That thing blew up. Or that cable was squint, and put it back together.
Yeah.
Or the person who can plow the land, as you're saying.
Yeah.
Or the person who is so good at being a barber that one day they become Sheldon because they mixed the work of their hands with business skills that they learned along the way. And then they become great in Built Legends Barber. So that person, you could say for loosely say they engineered a solution, but they actually had physical hand skills, umsebenzi wezandla, that they learned, and that skill cultivated into livelihood.
Sheldon Tatchell.
Yes.
I just don't want us to mess up his name because he actually is a legend.
Sure.
I've had farmers get touched. I think you're getting touched a bit on my studio. Get touched the same way because to them, they're also like, a farmer is not a person who plants a seed. It's a whole ecosystem.
Absolutely.
You manage this and that, and you're moving this, and you're checking the soil. It requires so many different skill sets. But I'd like to think we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
You just, because of PR eng, you're like, no, let's not call it engineering. Let's call it artisan.
Yes.
So the base for kids to be like, learn how to feed yourself from scratch, how to get food, and also learn how to build, fix, put things together.
So especially because I'm on camera, part of the EXA, Engineering Council of South Africa Code of Conduct that I signed, that I took an oath for, is to protect...
You guys have an oath?
Yes.
I will not break ESCOM.
So it's to protect the integrity of the profession.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get upset when people go around calling themselves engineers and stuff, because everyone says it.
It's not even upset. It's like, oh, not another one. That's it, and move on. Like, upset is too much of a strong word.
One of the other things I'd like to be renamed is, I don't know if it's doctors or the doctorate.
Yes.
I think someone somewhere needs to make a call and be like, we will no longer call you doctor or we'll call you something else. Because the MBCHB is an undergraduate qualification. And yes, you are a general practitioner and people are like, doctor.
Yeah.
But then someone else goes and gets a doctorate in philosophy.
Which is in KF 10.
Now they're called Dr. Banbani.
As well, yeah.
And
So somebody has to give up the name.
someone
The
has to give
title.
up the name.
Yeah.
And I almost want to say medical doctors, but they're the most popular.
Yeah.
Maybe this other thing must be called something else because it is a PhD, whatever that name is. But for the fact that you're like, I am Dr. Ban, you're like, oh no, konumuntu kulayo la. You're like, oh no. No, I'm not that doctor.
PhD
I'm
must give it
something
up.
else.
I disagree with you. PhD must give it up because, for example, with engineering, with accountancy, there's a bracket that we have to put next to our name. Mine is Power Eng and Accountant CSA, right? They can put PhD, the end.
And remove the doctor.
Yes.
Oh, Ndlovu.
They can put PhD.
Ndlovu, PhD.
That's it.
Okay. There's nothing else you want to add about your industry here before we move forward?
Let's move on.
Nola malini.
It depends. I'll be
You spoke about money being relative, and maybe this will be a teachable moment for kids.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know the numbers, but the ranges, if you can, from technician all the way to the highest level of engineers. And by highest level, I'm not talking people who are now MDs and CEOs.
Sure.
That's something else. That's running a business.
Yeah.
I'm just talking the skill itself.
Correct. As a technician, if you enter a reputable company, let's think a SAPI,
Sure.
Anglo, a government institution, maybe a municipality, a company that is bound by the labor laws and respects them.
Yeah.
Let me put it that way. As a technician, you're probably starting out at 18,000 Rand, 16,000 Rand gross per month.
Before tax.
Before tax.
Okay.
As a technologist, 24, 23. This is entry-level graduate program.
Okay.
As an engineer, 30, 33, 34.
Before tax.
Before tax.
Good professions.
Yes, in the context of South Africa.
Sure.
When you become registered, for technicians, it's PR Techni. For technologists, it's PR Tech. For engineers, it's PR Eng. Registration means a minimum of 3 years and proven competence through you write like a thesis, which is a report, and you go through a series of interviews before EXA can confer you a professional. As a technician, a PR Techni, you then jump maybe to a 38, 40, pushing it. A PR technologist, you jump to a 50. Engineer, 70.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you seen the tax brackets? I posted them last week, and people are
did.
having heart attacks.
Yes, I did.
Because we've got a sliding scale tax rate.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact amount, but at some point, I think it was, I'm going to lie now, but it's between, let's say, 5,000 and 7,000.
Yeah.
If you earn somewhere between 5,000 and 7,000, you're not liable to pay tax.
Yes.
So if ever you charge tax, you can get a refund.
Okay.
But from there, it goes to 18%. And then at the highest level, it's 45%. 45%. I think when I put it, I had 200,000. Maolu 200,000. I think you go home with like 125. People are like, no fucking ways.
No, 200,000 or 45.
I'll give you the amounts. Let me get them for you. Please carry on.
Because 50 would be 100,000 gone. So 45. Actually, it's 49, Pen.
The
It's
percentage.
49. The highest percentage is 49.
Where are my screenshots? I posted this thing. Let me find it on Twitter.
The highest percentage is 49. So you're literally just leaving with 100K basically if you earn 200K.
Why is time moving so fast? You can't cancel your things.
Hey, nami ngishuta lento yenza.
Fair enough. Just for the record, this is for this tax year going into 2025. So mahola u 15,000 gross, you take home just under 13. Let's jump to 50,000. Maholu 50,000, you mentioned 50,000 at some point, you go home with about 39. This is after tax. People must know koni pension.
Yeah. Medical aid.
Medical aid.
Yeah.
It's like mhlawumbe ama-funeral what.
UIF, what.
UIF.
Yeah.
50,000, you take home 39. If we jump from there to 100,000, you take home 69. 100, but you take home 69. This is before your other deductions. And then at 200,000, 125,866.
Crazy.
So abantu bakini babonto holu 200,000. You're like,
Crazy.
There's like a 74,000 Rand that the government just takes. And then missing banjwa inhliziyo.
And then if you work for the government further, you're forced, I think 14% to go to the government employees pension fund.
GEPF.
Yes.
Which feeds into PIC.
Yes.
Where
Yes.
business people and the politicians are
having
hammering
fun.
money.
Yes.
Why would you jump from engineering to having an online platform and specifically engineer your life? Like, oh, this guy's going to be interviewing engineers. But that was
It
not the
doesn't.
vibe.
Yeah. I had an inborn skill of broadcasting that I didn't know was a skill, but still only knew it as a passion when I was a teenager. And there was just no platform that was accepting me. That's the truth.
But what made you think you have a skill? What was it?
You know when you listen to radio and watch TV and then you imitate those people when you're alone and you feel like, I sound like them or better than them.
100%.
Many of them still.
Yeah.
I sound better than many on radio.
Oh, this is like a real thing that you're saying.
Yeah.
Damn. I thought we were making examples. But okay, let's keep it going.
Don't we have better views than some radio personalities?
Hey, baba, ungangifaki mina. Ngicela ungangifaki mina. And at some point you wanted to venture into this space.
I wanted to venture into broadcasting.
Radio specifically?
Broadcasting.
Radio and TV.
Yeah. Okay. And then there's this beautiful world where we merge both in a way.
Yeah.
Called podcasting.
Did you ever try though, before podcasting?
Yes, I did.
What did you do?
Many people are sitting with my demos.
Okay.
With my audition tapes.
Okay.
Can I say that this year some have come back and have declined?
Oh.
Yeah.
Just pains.
Because now I believe more in this calling that I have where I have almost full control. Yes, we don't own YouTube, the platform, but we've got so much autonomy.
100%.
Also, I'm in engineering, I'm in business. I want to own my time completely, which I do at the moment. I will struggle to be told where to be when by somebody, especially in South Africa, where they're going to pay you 5,000 a month to tell you that.
Yes. So we went from like 50, 70,000 to 5.
And then you become a celebrity in Holo 5. Hey?
Yeah, celebrities are poor, man.
Very.
I was going to ask you to like give them a big FU. The sadness of so many kids that dream of being celebrities, being in entertainment, being on radio, being on TV. Maybe what I'll ask of you, because you're blessed that you could go into engineering.
Sure.
For some kids, they've been imitating since they were young, and that's all
and
they
kind
of feel.
Imitating, yeah.
They feel it's the only way out for them.
Sure.
And now you're already saying the money is little. What advice would you give Lungelo in grade 7? Doesn't get exposed to George Campbell, doesn't know that he's going to study engineering, is not academically brilliant, and is like, I want to be in entertainment. I want to be in broadcasting. What advice would you give them in grade 7 now, moving into high school and later on?
Divert. Remember we spoke about the work of your hands.
Yeah.
Divert your passion for broadcasting either in front of the mic or in front of the camera and plow the seed by understanding the behind the scenes and how the systems work. So you're most likely to be booked because you know how to use a camera, you know how to fix sound for other people, especially now that there's podcasts every week launching.
Yeah.
You will make money from these podcasts that start and fail while you are cultivating your ability to go in front of the camera or waiting for the opportunity for someone to give you to be in front of the camera. But you will have a livelihood.
Sure.
At the core of who we are, we need a livelihood. We need to live and have food. Maslow's hierarchy of needs at the bottom of it is to have the basic provisions. Yeah. And for you to have the basic provisions and you feel like I'm not academically inclined, use your hands to cultivate a skill where the skill is still driving you towards what your heart desires.
It's brilliant advice. So you want to be in front of the camera, in front of the mic, or behind the mic rather.
Yeah. And
you're saying, I understand. But until that happens, invest in the back end because that's a more sustainable career.
Yes.
If ever this doesn't work, but even if it does, you at least have an understanding. And I'm now even thinking about songwriters before they became big. About Bruno Mars, Nabo Neo.
Sure.
I think of Msaki. Yeah. I think of backup singers. A lot of them who become backup. I think even a guy like Anderson .Paak, if I'm not mistaken, would also a lot in the background until he becomes so. Some kids really are like, I'm just waiting for my big break. And you're like, but are you learning anything else?
Yeah.
You want to rap? Yeah. Yes, you haven't made it. You haven't released a mixtape. But are you learning how to produce music? How to maybe build your own studio and have people come in?
How about you shoot your shot with the celebrity whom maybe lives in your neighborhood, because I'm a celebrity asekhona hlala eSoweto. Umbuzo ukuthi
Is that a hit under the belt?
This
This is not a nice guy, man.
Umbuzo ukuthi I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos about public relations. Can I help you with your PR? Now you're cultivating a skill. They might even pay you money to help you do that.
You're not competing with them as well.
You're not competing with them.
You're adding value.
You're adding value. And now you're getting close to them, cultivating a skill and understanding the business behind how their brand works.
For free.
For free.
Well, or even getting paid. So there is always an area that you can contribute and add value to a person's life while waiting. Because we all need to wait at some point. My firstborn, Nkunzi Malanga, we don't have time. Sorry, we're going to have to shut it down soon.
Yeah.
So please think of anything that you wanted, free Nelson Mandela, guys, clean the Durban beaches, guys, defect Durban rocks. Think of whatever you're going to close with for like 10 minutes. My firstborn son, Nkunzi, loved football from, I remember age 2, where he had a football and he'd kick it everywhere. And my plan for him, which got disrupted because he moved to China and now is in Brazil, my plan was, if this is really your passion, it's going to be tested every year. I'm going to test it every year. The one thing I don't know is if you actually have talent, because talent is something else. But I know that this is a big industry. You can be anything. So play football, enjoy it. Enjoy it. But I want you to get your refereeing certificates or license.
Sure.
I want you to learn how to coach. I want you to learn how merch or kits rather are manufactured or sold. I want you to learn how to commentate and to analyze. I want you to understand sports betting so that even if you end up becoming Cristiano Ronaldo, you've got all these other things. And because it's in an industry you love, you're like, I wasn't really talented, but I'm an amazing ref. I'm a great coach. I supply kit. I'm part of broadcasting in football. And there's so much. And for me, this was a lesson for, it's a lesson for many parents. If your child has a passion in broadcasting, maybe sound engineering is not engineering, but you can find almost any profession around what your child wants.
Correct.
So your child wants to be in broadcasting. There are lawyers involved in broadcasting.
Accountants.
There are accountants involved.
You can be Tribal Media House's accountant.
You can be an accountant.
And then you come to set and sit here and feed that inner child that wants to see a set that's running by being around but you're an accountant, so you can identify, no, you guys are being excessive on equipment, so slow down. Yeah. You can advise at that level, and then Deboho can see value in you, but you're feeding that inner child who wants to be in the presence of cameras and lights. Yeah.
You can be a structural engineer and build sets.
Yes. That's all you do. You build
I want
sets.
to do in broadcasting. Now I build sets. So find your child's passion. And yes, a lot of children's passions are talent driven. Not many kids are talented at that level, but there are industries almost around every passion. So try and find the industry around your child's passion.
Absolutely.
And get them to be like, you want to be a Springbok. Okay, you're going to play rugby, but I want you to be a doctor. So you want to do this medicine thing. And worst case scenario, you'll be a medical doctor for rugby
the Springboks.
teams.
Yeah.
That's all.
There's something I'm triggered to saying, as you're saying, as we close, is that you're speaking, I'll bring it back to my faith. God always gives you an opportunity to be in the vicinity of your vision. Your vision, God speaks to you alone. That's the sad thing that people don't get. That visions are spoken to you alone, but they're hardly ever spoken with a lot of clarity as to how you're going to get there. So it's an iterative process, trial and error. But just remain in the vicinity of your vision, as we just explained, the doctor of the Springboks. But I didn't start out as a doctor. I started out applying to university and then attending games. And then maybe I'd play rugby at school. And then in playing rugby, I wasn't great at rugby, but I got to understand that there's doctors who work for the Springboks or the local rugby team or the school rugby team. So I'm in the vicinity of my vision where, hey, I'm academically inclined. I'm studying medicine, which could be my livelihood at the beginning. And then, but through iteration, I'm still in the vision. I'm still in the proximity of the vision. And then, because when we respect these principles, there's principles in life that work for almost all the time, which is consistency, discipline, commitment to what you're doing. Keep being sober-minded in everything that you're doing, and you keep on being sober-minded in the vicinity, you will get closer. Life, God respects principles. You will keep on getting closer to the clarity. So you don't know what the clarity is, but you keep on getting closer to the clarity. And when you start living in the clarity, it's clear. Two years ago when I started the podcast and I had 500 subscribers and you respected me enough to come to my show.
Well, you also paid for me to come through. Let's not make it seem like I'm a good Samaritan. Thank you, by the way, for covering my cost to come down.
The vicinity was studying because I knew I used the long road. I'm 30 years old now. I had to study first and get a livelihood to be able to afford to pay Penuel to come and shoot. That's my long road.
Yeah.
But I was still in the vicinity and I was enacting the vision, the calling that was mine and was only shared to me. Today, for a year and a half, I wasn't making any money on the podcast. I was using my own earnings out of the things that I do outside as an engineer to fund the podcast. But in the last year or even 6 months, I've probably made all the money back.
Oh, siyabonga.
And the thing is, I'm not measuring the success through the money, but as a metric of what we do and the YouTube and everything, because my metrics go far beyond that and the lives that have been changed by the platform, is that affirms you good. Oh, you weren't being stupid when you were putting in the year and the year and a half where it was unpaid. Yeah. And I'm now known as Lungelo KM of Engineer Your Life. More will know me as an engineer now. And it'll sort of click to people why. What's the name of the show? What does it mean? Why is it structured that way? Why does he conduct themselves in the manner he conducts himself? Yeah, I think that's my parting shot.
Yeah, Lungelo, thank you so much, bro.
Yeah.
We speak things into existence. We manifest.
Sure.
When your podcasting starts making so much more money than your engineering career, will you leave engineering?
No, I love it. I love it.
You'll always be an engineer.
I think I will always be an engineer until it mentally, maybe the juggling mentally affects me.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm worn out and burnt out.
Yeah.
You can't leave being an engineer because I could stop working.
Okay.
But as a pure eng, there's always a tenderpreneur who needs you.
Okay.
Right? So I can take 6 months off and come back anytime.
Yeah,
Makes
that's
sense?
too dope.
Yeah.
Lungelo, thank you for coming through, bro. Again,
It's a
apologies
privilege,
it took so long.
Yeah.
Let's please try and make the next sit down as soon as possible. God willing.
And
God willing.
The book I'm reading, Dr. Miles Monroe, at the moment.
Shout out to Dr. Miles Monroe. May you rest in peace. I love that guy.
I read it. I was reading it on my flight yesterday, and it's called Passing It On. A very old book. I just, I was packing. I was like, I found a book to read for this flight.
Yeah.
And he speaks of the ultimate point of vision, execution of vision and leadership is the ability to pass it on. That's why the book is called Passing It On, succession planning. So well done to you guys for creating the Penuel show, getting better equipment, getting a better set, evolving into the Konvo show now, hitting 100,000 subscribers quickly in a few months. All these evolutions, having these so many milestones, because now you've removed your name from the Penuel show.
Yeah.
It's because you understand that succession, a good leader, begins continuing the vision on the day he starts. He doesn't wait until he's dead and people are fighting about how the vision will continue.
Yeah.
Otebogo can continue peacefully without you with the Konvo show, because the vision has been created of a platform that speaks about positive education, politics in a growth manner, growth conversations as you do. And the growth continues even when God Penuel dies.
Jeez, thank you, man. As we're recording this on the Zunga Namhlanje, E10. 9th of October. We lost Pastor Ray McCauley, who's a legend from the Rhema Church.
Sure.
I think his son may have released the statement. Senior pastor, I think his name might be Joshua.
Yes.
Joshua McCauley. I know last festive season, I went to visit the church with my kids when they were visiting. Kabelo Mabalane was the pastor at the time. And just recently, Uvusi Tembekwayo was in Texas, in America, at a leadership summit with
Bishop Jakes.
With Bishop T.D. Jakes.
Yeah.
In Kunzmalanga. You've had the privilege of being with interviewing his daughter.
Pastor Sarah Jakes.
Pastor Sarah Jakes.
Incredible woman. Yeah.
Beautiful story. I'm glad. I'm not glad. I'm sad that he's not alive today. Huge fan of Dr. Miles Monroe, man.
Yeah,
so thank you very much for all these dots that are being connected, even as we sit today.
Thank you, brother.
Lungelo, who is my namesake. I appreciate you, and let's sit again soon.
See you soon, bro.
Cheers.
I'm sure my phone is buzzing.